In recent years, whenever I have delivered online teaching on MBA programmes at both Manchester Metropolitan and Liverpool John Moores universities, I get consistent feedback that my modules are the best. So in this insight video, I'm going to share with you the secrets of my success so that you too can create and deliver outstanding online teaching experiences. To introduce myself, I'm Dr. Janet Curran, a professional instructional designer for almost 30 years, designing both face-to-face and technology-based learning. I created my first online learning program 10 years ago when the team at Huthwaite International initially transformed our 3-day face-to-face spin selling course to a 5-day online experience that the client described as being well ahead of the competition. Since then, I've had my successes and failures, which have both helped me to hone the techniques I will share with you now. For me, any good learning experience starts with good instructional design. So start with understanding the exact desired performance, i.e. the outcome you want from the learning or training. Ideally, you also have a sense of the current performance, so you can identify the performance gap. From this gap comes a performance-focused learning objective for the program. For example, I might define an overall learning objective as being, can deliver online learning programs that are rated as outstanding by students. You then take this overall learning objective and break it down to provide a structure and flow for what we call the learning journey. This requires repeatedly answering the question, what do you need to be able to do in order to achieve the overall learning objective? For example, to deliver an outstanding online program, you need to be able to structure a learning journey, create the content, and facilitate effectively. So now my learning journey consists of a series of mini modules, and for each one I again create a performance-focused learning objective so that I know what I want to teach people. So now some questions for you. In your current online teaching or training program, is there a clear overall performance-based learning objective? And have you split that overall objective down into a set of sub-learning objectives for each part of your program to create a clear learning journey of performance improvement? Now let's consider how to provide content. My biggest failures in online delivery have come when I have presented content through PowerPoint slides in the live online classroom. This is when it is so easy to send your students to sleep. So my number one tip here is deliver the knowledge insight outside of the classroom. Whether it is a talking head video, a more complex animation like this one, a piece of e-learning, or even a book or article to read, give the students the content first. And make it short. TED Talks are never longer than 18 minutes. I try to keep my videos to 15. This is long enough to deliver an insight and short enough to keep people engaged. And try to avoid just straight content delivery. Engage the learner with relevant questions throughout, as I am doing in this video. In e-learning design, we used to reckon on a question or interaction every 3 screens to create the right level of learner engagement. And the questions should link back to the learning objective for the module, as well as provide the basis for the live online classroom discussion. So again, questions for you. How can you deliver the teaching content to your learners so that you don't have to reteach it in the online classroom? And what key concepts do you want to introduce up front that can then form the basis for a classroom discussion? Let's now consider how to run an effective online session, focusing on style, tools, group size and timings. Your live online session ideally is a facilitation, starting with asking the students what they took away from the knowledge piece, then picking up on their answers and exploring them in more depth as appropriate. When it comes to engaging students in discussion, chat is a useful but underutilized tool. When I first ran live online sessions, I always used Adobe Connect without audio or video, so chat was the only way for students to communicate. What I found was that by asking them to use chat, I got more contributions from different students, as everyone can answer at the same time. The challenge then for the facilitator is to keep on top of the chat, read it all and be able to respond. This does become difficult in Zoom or Teams, where you also have to focus on the video and people are likely to speak as well as use the chat. But I like chat because it is also a way of encouraging the shy students to contribute. I do also use polls if I have questions that require specific answers. And I use the reaction button or green tick a lot to check that students are still with me, have understood what I am saying, and are happy to continue. And I am perfectly happy if people want to keep their video switched off, although I do warn them that this does mean I may direct a question towards them. A mute is also preferable, otherwise you get constantly interrupted by noise. Because I deliver content up front, I also do less screen sharing, which means that I can focus on the students rather than on a slide deck. Some more questions for you. How are you going to encourage participation and engagement in the online classroom? And what key questions will you use to drive the discussion? Students' willingness to contribute and talk does seem to be a function of group size. In the online world, there is a tendency to pile more students into the classroom, but online actually works better with smaller groups. For a start, there are only so many people you can engage with on the screen at any one time. What I also note is that when students are in breakout rooms of up to 6 people, there is far more engagement and chat between them than when they are in the main room with between 15 and 40 people. And with online, you have the opportunity to personalise the learning so much more if you keep the groups small. And it is the ability to personalise and tailor learning to individual learning needs that I see as a powerful benefit of online delivery, as well as offering improved feedback and better integration. It is much easier to pull small groups together for more frequent but shorter sessions when you don't have the costs of getting people face to face. You can also observe or record individual role plays and use the time in between sessions to give accurate expert individual feedback, which is not possible in face-to-face, and give people tasks to do in the workplace in between sessions to more fully integrate the learning. When it comes to timings, I tend to keep facilitated online discussions to an hour, although if you are using breakout rooms for small group work, you can go for longer. But don't ask students to spend all day on Zoom. Breaking up the learning through a series of different activities with time in between for students to take a break and reflect on it all is far more effective as a way of helping people to take in and assimilate knowledge. So build in the breaks. They are essential for effective learning. And consider that online learning is not necessarily shorter overall than face-to-face. You may want to spread it over more days, but with fewer hours per day. So some final questions for you. How many students do you want in your classroom and for how long? And how are you going to organise the timings of the learning? My final point is about post-classroom activity. Again, we go back to the original learning objective. How do you want students to demonstrate what they have learnt and whether or not they have achieved the objective you set out at the start? So make sure that any post-learning activities are as tailored and relevant as the rest of the learning experience. And consider the importance of ongoing coaching and mentoring to support students in their ongoing development. We humans find it difficult to change behaviour or assimilate new skills and knowledge overnight. As Anders Ericsson shows, it takes deliberate practice, preferably under the tutelage of an expert coach, to become proficient at something. So, to summarise my key points. 1. Structure your learning journey around clear performance objectives. 2. Break up your learning content into bite-sized chunks. 3. Deliver knowledge insight up front. 4. Use the classroom for facilitated discussion only. 5. Use appropriate tools such as chat, polls, and the reaction button to maintain engagement. And 6. Keep group sizes small. And if you want any further coaching or support to help you hone your online facilitation skills, then please get in touch with either me or one of my colleagues.